That's Sloan, Canada's hottest new band. The group is from Halifax. They've been together for just about 2 years, but they're the darlings of the alternative music scene. They're also the envy of their peers because they've just signed a multi-record deal with U.S. recording mogul David Geffen. Here's a listen to the first single from their album. The album's called Smeared. The single is called Underwhelmed.
She was underwhelmed, if that's a word.
The four band members of Sloan, guitarist Jay Ferguson and bass guitarist Chris Murphy. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Hi.
Kevin.
You have come a long way pretty quickly. I mean, it was only almost 2 years ago that you got together as Sloan, but how have you managed to get your name out there so quickly and so successfully?
Well, as a result of, there's this thing that's coming up this February again called East Coast Music Awards. We recorded an album ourselves actually in this studio when it used to be a house, and we did it ourselves, handed it around at these East Coast Music Awards last February, got noticed. Guy from MCA liked this, but not many Canadian labels were interested in us, so he sent it to a friend of his at Geffen in the States, and they really liked it. So.
Did you link up with Geffen? Was it a long process, or did they come to you, or did it take you a while to think about whether or not you were ready to sign on with such a large American company?
Well, we didn't really have any, we weren't really tied in with an independent label or anything that gave us a real dilemma about whether or not we should go with a major, except for what they would make us change in our own music, and they didn't make us change anything.
Now, there's sort of a rite of passage for alternative music. Aren't you supposed to have a couple of releases on independent labels and then get the big contract?
Well, look, we tried that. No, I'm just kidding. We've been in independent bands before. I'm sure you're familiar with Carney Lake Road and Whiteout. No, I'm just kidding, but...
and Tony Geffen, the...
Oh, yeah, I know all about them, right.
Oh, but yeah, we've done all that. It's just that it's too hard. It's hard to tour from here. It's like 1,200 kilometers to Montreal or Boston, and then a visa hassle to go to Boston. So it's really hard to get out of here unless you go to, I don't know, or Mukto or Fredericton or something.
Yeah, well, that's part of the point of you guys, is that you haven't made that trek to Toronto, to Montreal, to Queen Street West to get noticed. You've stayed put in Halifax and been a success.
Yeah, we're really lucky that way. A lot of bands have to go to Toronto and sell their soul to a beer company or to, I don't know, to some lame director who makes their videos full of women in bikinis, but we don't have to do any of that. We're really fortunate.
We're playing Sunday through Wednesday at some bar on Queen Street.
3 sets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's your music. How would you describe it? Because again and again in some of the clippings, I hear you described as a grunge band, and for the culturally illiterate, I don't even know what that means.
It's just another, well, it's a term that was formed a long time ago. I mean, when you think about it, it's just bands like Mudhoney and stuff, but, you know, I mean, it's the Stooges as well, or it's like, you know, the Kingsmen or something.
Well, is that like described to me as a combination of sweetness and also the not-so-sweet side of life?
I always think, well, the way, like, say, major press media or whatever qualifies grunge is like, it could be Pearl Jam, or Soundgarden or Nirvana, but all those bands sound really different, especially Nirvana. I mean, they're basically sort of a pop band.
So the Seattle sound.
Yeah, sure, but they're all really different. But I mean, like, we're just a pop band. We have pop songs. You can play them on acoustic guitar. Like, Chris and I really like, you know, the Beatles and the Beach Boys and stuff. So we're totally into pop music, but we just play it with a bit of, like, noise just to temper it, make it sound a bit different, or just so it's not all sweetness.
Sort of make it like a really sort of hip thing for today, you know, for the kids.
Well, Halifax high school girls, testosterone, and Roger's thesaurus.
Yeah.
What links all that together?
Love. I'm just kidding. I don't know. We all went to university. We all grew up here. We all went out with each other's girlfriends at one point. It's a pretty small town. It's that kind of thing.
What about the kinds of places you play? I mean, it isn't just the concerts or that kind of thing. Where do you like to play? And all ages shows, I guess, where they don't allow any alcohol or something that you've been involved with as well.
Those are the best.
Yeah, how come?
What, all ages shows?
Yeah.
Well, it's just because, I mean, you can play for people who can't go to shows. I mean, I remember when I was, you know, 15 or 16 or whatever, and there were shows that I wanted to go to, but I couldn't because they were in some lame bar. So we'd prefer to play all ages shows. That way more kids come. Usually they're more enthusiastic, more of a fun show. Plus, you know, I'd rather just play it. Usually bars can be really boring. Some bar shows are good, depending on where you play. But if you're playing like in a small town somewhere, it's just pointless to play a bar. But it's always best to play an all ages show.
The dilemma is that it's more expensive to set up an all ages show, and it's more hassle, and you have to
But you're going to be touring, I mean, Europe and the United States. You're going to be saying goodbye to those smaller venues, do you think?
I don't know. We don't play to, we had 900 people come to see us in Winnipeg, which is just unheard of. We usually get about 400 is a really good turnout. And, you know, we've been catapulted into this international forum or whatever because we have this American record deal. But, you know, we haven't really built up a fan base yet. We've sort of gone backwards into it. And so it's really weird for us.
So do you feel lucky or overwhelmed, or how do you feel about all this?
Yeah.
We're really lucky. There are lots of bands around Halifax, and we got lucky. We weren't even really ready to sign, truth be told. We were just sort of hacking around, and we got heard because our tape sounded good because we did it. We took our time doing it, and we did it here at Sound Market Studios with Terry Pulliam. And so that got heard, and then we got this interest, so we had to sort of get our act together. And there are a lot of bands in Halifax this year, for sure, that have their act more together than we did last year.
So is it carrying you along now? Do you worry about that?
Which?
Well, just the whole, I mean, you're now plugged into this large American record company. I mean, doors are opening for you. Do you feel like you're in control of your careers anymore?
Well, in Canada, at least, like, we've been able to do things like we have this major hype because of American interest, so that means Canadian interest for some backward reason. But, so we're able to go across and, like, demand to do all ages shows, which are a bigger hassle for promoters, but there are bands like Change of Heart that try to do all ages shows, and they find it hard because they don't, as good as they are, they don't have the backing and the hype behind them that we do.
So it's a double-edged sword. Listen, thanks, guys, and best of luck.
Thanks.
Okay,
bye.
Thanks for coming by. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So you know what grunge is now?
I sure do. I know everything. They're pretty good.
Yeah, they're very, I like the Green Tooth, too. When we come back, we'll tell you about tomorrow's show.